The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to my review show here of Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds 2023 pay-per-view from June 9th, 2023, from the Ohio, Expo Center and State Fairgrounds in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Karlifornia. Great to be with you all once again. And it is the 12th of June right now. This took place on the 9th of June, which is technically the 10th of June in Australia. So I apologize for this being so late. But here's the thing, right? Saturday, I decided to go drink some beers with some friends at a pub. And that ended up me being out until like 1 in the morning. But I had work at 7 a.m. the very next day. So I only had a couple hours sleep, really. Then I had to do a 12-hour shift. And then finally, when I got home at about 8:30 at night, I finally watched this pay-per-view. It took me forever to get through it because I had a countdown show to watch as well. But it took a while. I don't think I finished watching it until about 1:15 in the morning. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to do the review the following day. So again, apologies, everyone. But here we go. Impact Against All Odds. Take a look at me now. It's just an empty space. Nice little 30-minute countdown show. Thank you very much. Not like the NWA, who had an hour and a half for night one of the Crockett Cup for the just the pre-show. Anyway, Kilynn King with Taylor Wilde at ringside. The Coven, women's tag team champions, taking on Nevaeh. And no, that is not the body wash. It's an actual pro wrestler. I've never heard of Nevaeh. Apparently, she used to be in Impact Wrestling before. But okay. So last pay-per-view, Under Siege, the women's tag titles were on the line on the pre-show. Next pay-per-view, Slammiversary, the women's tag team, so the Impact Knockouts tag team titles have to be on the actual pay-per-view. Okay. And there's a guy out there, I've forgotten to write down his username. Last pay-per-view review, he told me that I got to start watching Impact, and I promised him I would, and I'm sorry, I still haven't watched the weekly show. I'm going to try, I promise I will. Maybe I'll try on the build up to Slammiversary. Anyway, I thought, wow, there's going to be a lot of matches on the card here today. I didn't pay that much attention to this match. I feel bad about that. From what I saw, it was okay. It just didn't do a lot for me. It was just a squash match. We knew Kilynn King was winning. Let's move forward. Impact Digital Media title. It seems to have also found a nice little home here for itself on the pre-show for the pay-per-views, the countdown. Joe Hendry, the champion, defending against Dirty Dango. So the angle is continuing with these two, with Santino's involvement as well. I'm assuming this is leading to a Santino-Dango match at Slammiversary, but Santino comes out for commentary. You know what? I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think Santino isn't as funny in Impact. I don't know if he had help with the writing of his character when he was in WWE. But there's just something that's just not quite, it's like he's 80% there. There's just something that's just not firing on all cylinders as far as the comedy side of his character is concerned. Anyway, I thought Dango had an improvement on his look. Obviously, Joe Hendry comes out. He plays the song, which makes fun of Dango's career. The song was, about how he beat Jericho and how he ended up being like, a fake police officer with whatever his name is. Shit, that's how much it meant to me. And of course, he got rejected on Total Divas by Summer Rae and Eva Marie, which I don't think was real. I think that was all set up, wasn't it? Wasn't Total Divas pretty much scripted? But if it was, dude, of course, try to hook up with Summer Rae and Eva Marie. Fantastic choices. So now I get the Dango angle. I get it. And I'm liking it. Except he keeps losing. Because I thought he was going to walk out with the belt on this one. He disrespects Santino and then copped that neck breaker on the outside. And I had to say, the crowd were quiet as all shit for this one. They were quiet, sitting on their hands. They were pretty quiet for a lot of the show, to be honest. Don't know what it is with these Impact Wrestling fans. They're very, very bland. Dango pulled the referee in the way and hit a thumb to the eye. I like the heel tactics. Hendry, of course, always impressive with his strength. And Hendry won the match decisively. So it showed what the fuck I know. Anyway, let's move forward to the pay-per-view itself, Against All Odds. Impact Wrestling Against All Odds. We start off the show with Frankie Kazarian against Eddie Edwards. Now, okay. All right. I'm going to go on Twitter because I had an argument with somebody a couple of days ago over this. And it does my head in that there are these people out there that just talk absolute shit out of their ass, right? Let's see. So this was about Frankie Kazarian. God, this guy really pissed me off, hey? He's under the username Jimmy Swaggart, so it's Jimmy SWAGGART 92. He responded to an article that was out about Frankie Kazarian and why he left AEW. I appreciate about pro wrestling. So what I appreciate about pro wrestling and the way I like it presented was not happening at AEW. Jimmy Swaggart said, I love Frankie, but I don't see what's happening at Impact that's not happening at AEW on a larger scale with an actual budget. And then this is what I said. Perhaps not an over-bloated and overflowing roster where he's not lost in a crowd of people with no story or direction. Dude wants to spend the last of his best years actually creating memories and content rather than being a non-factor. Jimmy Swaggart responds with again, the moronic mentality of a wrestling fan. He went from being a non-factor in AEW to being a non-factor in Impact. What changed besides the demotion in quality of production? Fucking Mark. I said, you can paint the picture any way you want. He's on TV and on pay-per-view in a prominent spot, and beforehand in AEW, he wasn't. Jimmy Swaggart, he had one title match which he lost. What's he doing now? I said, again, he's on TV every week and actively involved in angles as opposed to being stuffed onto a YouTube show or being an elite hunter that never actually had an effect on hunting them at all. You shouldn't even need to ask if you've been watching. Right, so there's also not just that, right? There was another person that really pissed me off, dude. I can't stand wrestling fans, right? This is the one that annoyed me the most. Edmonton Man, which is at Blue Obama, or BLO Obama. He won't be missed. Big respect to his career, but AEW is here growing and becoming something. If Frankie doesn't want to be a part of that, it's okay. Fuck you, you fucking arrogant little shit. Arrogant attitudes and dialogue like this from typical AEW fans is my biggest pet peeve with the company itself. It's this kind of talk that I find incredibly off-putting. Incredibly off-putting. It is so fucking irritating. As soon as one person says one thing against your beloved little AEW, you fucking little assholes have to come out and all of a sudden, oh, well, we didn't need him anyway. We didn't really like him anyway. He wasn't even that good. It's always that fucking attitude. As soon as they're leaving, it's like all of a sudden they start turning on them. You're all a bunch of fucking marks. Clueless, acting like you fucking know what you're talking about. Suck on that one. Thank you. Frankie Kazarian made a right decision here at this point in his career, in this point in his life, to go back to Impact Wrestling. He's won the X Division Championship since being back. He's been in main events. He's got an angle here with Eddie Edwards. He's had several angles since being back in Impact Wrestling. Wouldn't you rather at this stage of your career to actually do something and create content and just be able to do things on a level that is you're sinking your teeth into something, you know? You get to put your passion into your passion. That's the whole point. That's the point I'm trying to make. What do you want him to do? Sit on the bench in AEW when they've got fucking, 200 people on the roster now? You don't get it. When people are at that point in their career, they want to still be able to do shit. That's why Rhino went to Impact Wrestling instead of staying with WWE, where they were just going to pay him to sit at home. So he didn't sign with anyone because AEW was coming around or whatever the fuck was going on. You know? This is what people do when they're at that latter stage of their career. They still want to have an effect. Big Show left WWE because he wanted to do something. I don't besmirch him for going to AEW because the WWE weren't doing shit with it. I'm so sick of this argument with these fucking idiots. Anyway, Frankie Kazarian versus Eddie Edwards. This should be good. Don't forget worked up, but it just fucking annoys me because the wrestling fans, so many, look, I'm a wrestling fan, but I did actually wrestle. Not on a big level, just here in Perth, Western Australia. But a lot of wrestling fans out there think that they fucking know what they're talking about. They just spew fucking bullshit out of their mouth to suit their fucking agenda, instead of thinking of things from the actual wrestler's point of view. Dumb fucks. So here we go. Frankie's there and Eddie Woods. Frankie's not doing anything, is he? He's not doing anything. He's become a non-factor. He's got an angle here going into the pay-per-view with Eddie Edwards, based off the fact that they both were trained by Killer Kowalski. Look at your fucking window and stop bullshitting. Going on Twitter and talking as if you've been watching. Like, you do realize how far that's going to get you, right? When you're talking to someone who's actually watching, and I'm not even watching the weekly show, but I can see the fucking, the package that airs before the match. All right, I'll get over it now. I'll get over it. But it just pisses me off, man. I thought Eddie's wife played her role well. What was it, Alyssa? I think that was her name. So there's a good amount of heat on Kaz early in the match. And there was a nice comeback from Kaz, which got cut off very well. I thought, again, Eddie's wife was performing her role at ringside very well. I think Frankie is still very good. So AEW's toxic fans can get fucked. And I'm not telling AEW fans to get fucked. I'm telling the toxic ones to get fucked. And all this swearing is going to end up making this be, we won't be able to monetize it in full. Like, come on, it's just swear words, YouTube. God, baby powder up the ass. Random thought, nothing to do with the match. I thought to myself, what's James Storm doing right now? You know, when Robert Roode is better, imagine the WWE bring Storm in and we get to see a reunion with Beer Money. If Santino can be called Santino Marella in Impact Wrestling, then we can call them Beer Money in WWE. Come on, they were over. The referee gets his cum shot moment where Alyssa gets ejected from the match. She sold it very well. It's always a fun spot, isn't it? Getting ejected from the ring and the referee gets to wind it up and throw you out of there, and the heel at ringside gets to lose their fucking mind. It's wicked. This was given a good amount of time to make it special, bro. What do you know? Given a good amount of time to make it special. Remember the last thing that Frankie Kazarian did in AEW, where he was in a prominent spot on a pay-per-view, teaming with Sammy Guevara against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember how, like, during the match, Frankie had enough of Sammy's shit and then ended up kind of laying him out. And then still later on in the match, deciding to still team with Sammy even though he didn't even want to help him anymore. And then Frankie ended up copying the pin. So he looked like a real tit. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember how much of a factor he was then. Kazarian beats him with a pin reversal, which was a great finish, excuse me. Great finish there from Frankie. Let's move forward. The Impact World Tag Team Championships on the line. The Ace and Bay Club champions taking on the Good Hands. Definitely the most anticipated match of the show. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative. What is the deal with the Bullet Club in 2023? I could just Google it, but I'd like an explanation in the comments. I know there's the Bullet Club Gold in AEW now with Jay White and Juice, Robinson. I know they've got that thing going on over there. But now they're the Ace and Bay Club. So have they been told to kind of drop the Bullet Club references in Impact? I don't know. But I have to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of the tag division at the moment in Impact Wrestling. I don't mean to be negative. I did think that they needed to get the Motor City Machine Guns away from there because it's, they've done that long enough. But I don't know, just something's not clicking for me at the moment with this division. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they're just going through a transitional phase. I didn't really write a lot of notes for this match, to be honest with you. There was a nice code read by Chris Bay, but whatever. We see it all the time. He did do a pretty sweet dive to the outside. I'm not going to lie. There wasn't an overkill of dives on this show, which we get that all the time these days. A nice magic killer for a near fall there for the Good Hands. It wasn't bad, but it was very choreographed. I'd love to see Bay and Ace Austin try and have a match where they improvise the whole thing and just have the finish plan. I'd like to see if they can do it. I'd be interested to know because I don't reckon they could. I think they have to have every second of the match choreographed. I bet you anything. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, props to you guys for being able to remember all that shit, but no, I don't know. Anyway, G. Miller interviewing backstage with Deonna and Trinity, who are teaming up to face Giselle, Shaw, and Savannah Evans later in the show. There wasn't really anything to add there. Hype package for Killer Kelly taking on Masha Slamovich in this dog collar match. Something about that hype video was a little sexy. I don't know. Killer Kelly mentioned something like, do you want to play with me? Or whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, I'll play with you. I'll play. Even though you probably mean like fucking kill me. But I thought this was going to be something because these two are mental. Doing a women's dog collar match with these two, that's sick. That's a sick idea, and I like it. I'm here for it. I really wish WWE would let Lesnar and Cody do the dog collar match, which I heard they've put the kibosh on. So it's a shame. They always have to be so, I don't know, baby powder up the ass. Brutal early on with the choking between the two. Great psychology for Masha to get the advantage and pull Kelly into the post. They were kind of having a tug of war, but then Masha put her foot up on the ring post, and that gave her the leverage to pull her in. Smashed her face in. I love the fact that they're both talking in different languages. It makes it sound more crazy. So, geez, I don't know where Slamovich is from. But Killer Kelly Portuguese, obviously. I like hearing the trash talk in their native tongue. It just, I don't know, it just sounded like they made it more nuts. Dragging by the chain, whilst Kelly was on all fours, and no, actually she was on a stomach, and Masha's just dragging her along the floor. It was disgusting. I think Kelly's facial expressions were really good when there were moments of her being choked. That's such a weird sentence. So it was a great stalemate between the two as we got to the midway point of this match. I really felt Killer Kelly needed this win, though. I think Masha's had a lot. They should have a rematch. Kelly needs to get a win. I'm not really big on 50-50 booking sometimes, but Anyway, great DDT by Kelly. That was like a DDT that I haven't seen in ages. You know when someone hits a DDT and the person actually rolls through with the bump instead of like just planting flat and not spiking? Like just you haven't seen a DDT like that in a long time. Well, I haven't anyway. There was a point in the match where Killer Kelly was being choked on the, like being hung on the top rope. You know, Masha was pulling on that chain. And as she's like holding onto it, she's just kicking her in the head, kicking her right in the head, and then just pulling and just trying to kill her. This was really brutal. One of the matches of the show. Great snowplow after a rough back and forth between her and Kelly. But Masha wins with a plow of her own. So Killer Kelly got plowed. And Masha won. Good match. Let's move forward. Sorry, using the word plow and Killer Kelly in the same sentence. I didn't mean it in that way. X Division Championship match. Trey Miguel defending against the the 8-time champion at this stage, Chris Sabin. Motor City Machine Guns get interviewed by Gia Miller, who looks gorgeous. Trey has been a great heel. Got to give him props, man. He has shown his range. When he was just the babyface X Division champion, right? Great matches. Loved the matches. Wasn't as interested in the character. Now he's had the chance to be a heel. You get to see those layers of the personality that is Trey Miguel. So I will admit this match was spoiled for me ahead of time. This is what happens when you finally get to watch it, like, you know, a day and a half after it's already been aired. And this is what happens when you choose beer over watching the pay-per-view the day of. Miguel's facial expressions. He stays in character the entire match. Well done, mate. There's so many people out there that don't do it. They're thinking of their next spot. Sabin in his element. He's always been good. Miguel is so interesting with all the little things he does. Really impressed. Always been impressed with his ring work. The crowd was so quiet. It really hurts it sometimes. Miguel hit a cradle shock of his own, which was excellent. And now we get to the real psychology of this, right? Miguel can't put Sabin away, so he has to go to the well again. What was the well? Grabbing his little can of spray paint. He knew the referee would be looking out for that can of spray paint, so he had a second can. He tucked one in the back of his pants. He walked into the ring. Referee confiscates the can. Miguel pulls out the other can. He goes to spray Sabin. Sabin picks him up for the cradle shock. Wait, no, spray to the eyes whilst he's on Sabin's back. Great suspense. And then we get a near fall soon after that with a roll-up, but Sabin manages to escape. At some point, Sabin manages to get to the outside and splashes his eyes with water off the commentary desk. There's a H2O chant, which makes me kind of pop. He hits a Styles Clash soon after, then that massive clothesline of his hits the cradle shock and becomes a 9-time X Division champion. Really good match. I love the last few sequences of that. Really, really cool stuff. Sorry, everyone, just had a quick break there. Moving forward, Moose, Mike Bailey, PCO, and Rich Swann against Bully Ray, Heath, Nick Aldis, and Jonathan Gresham. So this is like it's called an 8-4 match or something like that, or 8-4-1. So it starts as an 8-man tag. Whichever team wins, those 4 who won now have to battle each other in a fatal 4-way, and whoever gets the pinfall becomes the #1 contender for the Impact World title and gets the title shot at Slammiversary. So I thought that this was going to be good, but I expected it to be pretty long. But you know what? It didn't overstay its welcome. I really thought that this was going to be kind of Bully Ray's match here, and not that he was going to win. I kind of thought Nick Aldis was going to win. But I really thought that like the psychology ended up being like Bully Ray's tactics actually ended up working out for the team, considering the other three guys in the match really didn't want to team up with him in the first place. Obviously, the highlight early on in this match was PCO getting tagged in. Like a house of fire. He got his shine. He hit his dive. He's a crazy motherfucker. He's been a triumph in Impact, honestly. I'd keep him signed until retirement. I wouldn't let anybody get their hands on him. But the dude with those, the dude with those apron bumps, I don't know how he does it. It isn't completely messed up. So there was a nice bit of drama with, people inadvertently hitting their own partners on their team. Eventually, though, Gresham pins Rich Swann, which I thought was a little bit out of the blue, because I thought Bully's tactics would be the story there. The tactics of him being a dickhead and a heel, and maybe making the baby faces realize, he's an asshole, but I see he sometimes maybe he is right. I thought that would have been interesting, but that's okay. This leads to Bully getting triple teamed, and Gresham hits a what's up headbutt to his groin with Aldis and I've already forgotten, Heath, helping him by giving him that wishbone leg split type thing. So this was fun. Scott D'Amore comes out when Bully is looking like he's going to smack Gresham with a chair. He takes the chair off Bully. He hits Bully with a chair shot to the spine. Suspense. I'm assuming this is going to lead to some sort of Scott D'Amore versus Bully Ray match at Slammiversary. I'm assuming. Nice little Tower of Doom spot. Big elbow from Aldis on to Heath and Gresham, who had Heath in a figure 4 leg lock. Heath ends up tapping to the Cloverleaf from Nick Aldis, and Aldis will get the title shot against the winner of our main event at Slammiversary. So Hottie Toddy backstage with Steve Maclin. I like that they're threading the story through the show. Thank you. Trinity, Deonna, and Purrazzo in tag team action up next against Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. I think Shaw will be Knockouts champ one day. She keeps losing the big one at this stage, but I see where they're going. The push is still going. They're just constantly just pushing, getting closer and closer. Eventually, it will come to fruition. I'm guaranteeing. She has improved a lot over the last year. When I first saw her wrestle, she was, all right, but I see the confidence now, and good job. Trinity is going to win the title at Slammiversary. I'm guaranteeing you. I think she should lose to Deonna in the first outing. I don't think this is like so typical of Impact sometimes, They get these big signings and they bring them over, and not long into them, they're going to win the title. They're going to win. Like you knew Kurt Angle would be Impact champion, or Christian would be Impact champion when they came over to the company. It wouldn't take long. A couple of things actually in this I wasn't really happy with. Trinity tried to do a springboard kick at one stage and completely botched it. The timing was so off. I think she's still a little rusty. There was a great armbar from Deonna and Giselle selling it like it was real. Good selling, Giselle. Out of the blue, Deonna Purrazzo pins Savannah Evans after Trinity is knocked to the outside, right? By the guy that they have on the outside. The heels attack Deonna in the ring. Trinity came in for the save after this. And look, I never usually give her any negative feedback. I'm actually a big fan of hers, but she came in for the save. The timing was just off. All of this was a fucking mess. It was the timing was off with everything. The positioning, the timing, everything was fucked. I don't know what went wrong, but I'm not blaming anyone. But this was awkward, and it just didn't work for me, brother. Let's move forward. Ohio street fight, the design, taking on Ohio versus everybody, or OVE. So apparently OVE have quite the history. They were a stable in CZW. They used to be a stable in Impact at some point. I like the pay-per-view so far. Different flavors. This is a pay-per-view. You know, we've had our brutality with the dog collar match. We've had our multi-person match. We've had our X Division style match. Now we're getting a street fight. Yeah. You know, it's good. Some tag matches, some singles matches. Very nice. Let's get to the notes of this match here. So, yeah, let's get hardcore, baby. Explode onto a folded out chair on Angels early into this. I like that Hannafin and Rewalt agree sometimes. I think it's a good way for commentary teams to be. Just like they should kind of, you know, have differing opinions to make things interesting, but there should be those moments where they do like, okay, yeah, we agree on that. There was a really sweet mid-air cutter on Angels as by Jake Christ, as Angels are trying to splash Sami Callihan, and Christ jumped from a different turnbuckle and hit a cutter in mid-air. Really cool for the highlight reel, that one. Deonna was really on fire in this one, especially with the character work. When he went into the wire, his selling was fantastic. Big boys, Fulton and Con, fighting to the stage. I wasn't sure about them both going for a choke slam and then both just kind of jumping off the stage. I guess they were both kamikaze missioning one another to get each other out of there, but Impact stage is so small. Like, if you go off the stage, it's not really a far drop, you know what I mean? But that's okay. They got to do something. A burning hammer on Jake Christ through a barbed wire board at ringside. That was pretty nuts. Fans chant deathmatch wrestling. A froggy by Angels off the ladder through the table and Sami kicked out. Angels gets clocked. Then there's a Cactus Driver 97, excuse me, on Deonna, who kicks out. Then we get a bat to the head, a driver into wire, and OVE win. Sami Callihan pins Deonna. I'm guessing the feud is over. It just seems like the design, they always end up losing the feud ender. I don't know. It's okay. Hopefully Joe Doran comes back soon. Okay. Finally, time to get to our main event of the evening here, everybody. Impact World Championship. Steve Maclin defending against Alex Shelley. Here we go. Unfortunately, this match got spoiled for me as well. Sometimes you have a habit of clicking on the Twitter app and then it's there. Shit. So I thought Steve Maclin needed to have a Josh Alexander match here. He needs to prove why he's the champ. So I like the tit for tat early between these two. Maclin selling the arm well. As he takes over, though, he's showing he's young, he's hungrier. We're seeing that side of him, right? He's a young, guy. This is his time. It's like, remember when Mike Awesome was champion in ECW, or Rhino was champion in ECW? It's this young guy that's just seems to be unbeatable. Seems to be. Shelley gets the better when things get toward like that Game 7 feeling of the NBA finals, or Game 7 of the World Series. He's getting down to the wire, brother. And Shelley's starting to get the better of him with the experience. Edge, suspense. Sliced bread on the floor by Alex. We get a KIA as we go back into the ring. Rope break, bro. Then there's a sliced bread off the top rope from Alex Shelley. 2 count. More suspense. Caught in the crosshairs from the Tree of Woe, right? He hit the turnbuckle. The turnbuckle had been exposed earlier in the match as Maclin was in a submission hold. He had pulled it off. It ended up backfiring on him. Unfortunately for Maclin, he goes into the turnbuckle again, and Shelley hits the shell shock and wins. Great main event, it really was. And I'm sorry it seemed like I didn't have a lot of notes there, but I was actually just sitting and enjoying the match. But I was really shocked, man. Like, even though, like, yes, like I was shocked when I found out the news, like not when I watched it, obviously, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen that match without the knowledge of Shelley winning beforehand. Because I would have been shocked, man. Because to be perfectly honest with you, I think to myself, shit, like this was Maclin's time, you know, like he'd been built up for all this time. I don't know what the decision, why the decision was made to do this. I'm sure there's a logical reason for it. Impact don't just do that kind of thing these days. They don't just hot shot things for the sake of it. Whereas, you know, they kind of did that back in the day. But for me, I thought this was Maclin's time. I thought Maclin will probably hold this belt until Josh Alexander comes back and we finally get that title match between the two of them. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm intrigued to see what happens going forward, and maybe I will watch Impact Wrestling this week. So there we have it, everyone. My review show here of Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds 2023. Rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Real close to being an 8, but I don't know. 7 seems too low, so I'm going to go 7.5. Look, it was great. It was a great pay-per-view, you know, different flavors, as I already stated, you know. I would have liked maybe a big surprise, you know, but you can't have a surprise every time, because if there's always a surprise, then it's not really, you know, that special anymore, is it? So, yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Looking forward to see what happens as we move towards Slammiversary. So this will be the last review for a few weeks now. I don't think there's anything on soon, except for maybe like AAA Triple Mania. But either way, thank you for joining me here on the WZWA Network. I'm Karlifornia. Please check out our shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com. Like you see, there's me, Hogsley, Monet, Jooseyboy. We got some other designs up there as well. Please check out our Patreon. It's only $3 a month. We're going to hopefully be adding some more videos this week to the Patreon. So please, it's 10 cents a day. It's insane. So anyway, I'm Karlifornia. This is the WZWA Network, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.